One of the best ways to end 2024 and kick off 2025 with a bang is to work with this Mercury retrograde. That's starting November 25th, going to December 15th. But really, the post-shadow phase goes until January 2nd. This is a monumental moment. It is powerful territory to work in. I want to tell you why. And most importantly, I want to tell you how to do that in this conversation. How to work with this out with the old, in with the new energy. How to work with this perfect setup for personal expansion. Really and truly, it's personal expansion, personal growth, breaking through. Could not be more perfectly timed for those of us who are ready to let go of 2024 and really open up to something different, something newer, something truer in 2025. All right, let's dive into this. So maybe let me talk a little bit more about the different areas of this conversation, and then we'll dive right in. One area is I want to talk about how important Sagittarius is. So this is a Mercury retrograde in the sign of Sagittarius, moving from 22 to 6 degrees of Sag. It is all Sag. Sag is a beautiful energy to end the year with. It's very benevolent. It's like the grace bomb energy of the zodiac. It's like Jupiter. It's expansive. It's grace-filled. It's good. We just got to attune to it though. Right? So I want to talk about how to do that. So really want to go into that. Then I want to talk about Mercury. Like, who is Mercury actually as an archetypal energy? Mercury is an archetype. He is a sacred energy. He's a wisdom energy. He is considered messenger of the gods and guide to the soul. This is good stuff. This is really good stuff. So I want to talk about Mercury retrograde is a whole hell of a lot more than just miscommunications, right? And messing up electronics. Way more. And then I want to talk about how you can attune to that, right? So we're going to go into Sag, then we're going to go into Mercury, how to attune to both of those, how to work with both of those. And then I want to talk about specific aspects. This is incredibly karmic. This particular Mercury retrograde is karmic as a mofo, like lessons to be learned. I like that it's karmic as a mofo because it's also dharmic as a motherfucker, right? So karmic, dharmic, meaning it's going to propel you in further, deeper ways into destiny. It just means that it's like more important. You know, it's not like a surface level kind of shifts or changes. These are like big changes that are happening, like big changes that can take place. And I want to talk about how to align with that, specifically because Saturn's in the mix. So we'll talk, he's karma. He's karma. He is literally Lord of Karma. He is all up in this Mercury retrograde. Next, I want to talk about the grace bomb. There's a grace bomb that's going to happen. All right. This is really, really good. It's going to amplify the Sagittarius energy, right? It's going to amplify the grace energy, the good luck charm. How can we attune to that? Finally, I want to talk about the feminine archetypal energies in this Mercury retrograde. So there are some really beautiful these are supportive aspects during this Mercury retrograde from some of the even like deeper, darker goddesses. Again, they're all just archetypal energies. They're parts of self. They're also energetics out in the world, but they're really in support to this Mercury retrograde, which I like, right? Where Saturn, not so supportive. I mean, supportive, but in a hard way. Supportive in like a lessons to be learned kind of a way. But the deep, dark, sacred feminine is in support in a gentle kind of a way. All right. I'm going to tell you how to attune to all that, give you a couple practices, and a bunch of reflective questions. So Mercury is the mind. Mercury is very much about reflecting, thinking about, meditating on things. It's a moment in time where we can get a lot of insights. But let's not jump into Mercury just yet. Let's go to overall Sagittarius. So because this Mercury retrograde is solely in Sagittarius, sometimes he goes into two different signs, but this one he's just in Sagittarius. So what does that mean? All right, Sagittarius. Sorry, I'm just thinking of all the different points that he's going over between 22 and 6 degrees of Sagittarius. If you're interested, you can look at that in your own birth chart, or you can look at that more out in the astrology. There are a couple of different points that are in there, but I'm not going to dive into that because that would be way too much detail. If you do not have a birth chart, most of you have your birth chart, you'll know, and you'll know how to easily look up your own birth chart and what's between 22 and 6 degrees of Sag. I would very much recommend doing that. And I would also look at the house that Sagittarius is in your birth chart. If you've never done that or you don't know how to do that, I did a little masterclass. It's totally free. It's how you can run a free birth chart online and how you can look at these exact points. You can find out what house it's happening in and if there's anything that Mercury's transiting in your birth chart. All right, sorry, that was a little bit of a side note. You'll find links for the free masterclass all over the place. Like look in the description or maybe above, there's a link right now. Okay, so let's come back to overall Sagittarius. Sagittarius energy. This is an interesting Mercury retrograde. It's a little bit different because Sagittarius energy is about your expansion. It's about your personal growth. Now, your expansion can come from any area of your life. Your personal growth can come from any area of your life. Sagittarius is a seeking sign. It's a learning sign. Education. What do you want to be educated on? What do you want to learn more about? What are you seeking? What is it that you're interested in studying, experiencing, doing, learning, traveling to, so that you can expand your horizons? You can expand your sense of self. You can expand your wisdom. You can expand your experiences, your knowledge. You can expand who you are as a being. And that's going to be very unique to you. For some of us, we're really excited to learn more about relationship. So relationship will be the theme. For some of us, we're really excited to learn more about our craft, our art, our work in the world, our family, how to be like the best parent we can be. That just lights us up. So what you want to feel into around Sag energy is, and there's a couple of words here. This is reflective questions. So pay attention because these are the reflective questions so you can really dial into what this Mercury retrograde is showing you. So you want to think about what it is that, I don't want to use the word lights you up, but that's a way of saying that. We'll start there. What it is that really lights you up. So you think about, okay, in terms of expansion, personal growth, I want to learn more about, wow, studying this would really light me up. So for me, I'm really excited about the human genome. I mean, I know that's, you're like, what, Sabrina? What, the human genome? I'm incredibly excited about this. I'm incredibly excited about different aspects of the human genome switching on at this moment in time. I'm really excited about the possibility of regeneration right now. I'm really excited about the capacities in my mind that have not yet been switched on. I mean, these are totally true. And I'm just kind of riffing around to give you a feel of what it would feel like for you when you hit what you're excited about. It just lights me up. I want to study it. I want to go places to learn more about it. I want to drink things in. I'm seeking maybe within myself. I'm definitely seeking it in meditations, but I'm also seeking for who's doing what, where, how does this weave into what I'm feeling in myself? That's Sagittarius. So this whole territory is lit up during this Mercury retrograde. Now, remember, Mercury retrograde isn't just the 25th of November to the 15th of December when he's going backwards. It actually started November 7th. We're in it. We're already in it. That was pre-shadow phase, and it goes until January 2nd. Post-shadow phase is December 15th to January 2nd. So we've got a good period of time where Mercury is the mind. Most of us spend a lot of time in our mind. For most of us, our thoughts are very important for us. Our mind is very important. We identify a lot with our thoughts. For most of us, this is our primary primary wisdom center would be the mind. I mean, you wouldn't say your primary wisdom center is your heart. Some of us would for sure. Our womb, if you have a womb, our belly, you wouldn't say that's my primary. I spend the most amount of time in my belly. I spend some time during the day in my belly. I definitely spend time in my heart, but I spend a lot of time in my mind. Mercury rules the mind. So this means the place that you spend a lot of time in is on a journey at the moment to show you what, hold on, let me get these words right. What it is you're called to learn more about that lights you up, that is in alignment with your destiny. You are just meant to learn more about this. It is like a sacred calling to learn more about this, to travel to this place, to open your mind to these mysteries, to study this, to seek this. Do you see this? To have this experience. And so, and let it be big. Let it be out there. It's like let your mind expand. So this Mercury retrograde, so that's enough on Sag, I think, for now, right? It's personal growth. It's spiritual. It's very spiritual. It doesn't always show up as spiritual because sometimes spiritual doesn't look like spiritual, right? Again, it's like any area of life could actually be spiritual. Having children could be the most spiritual experience of your life. But you didn't go to like a meditation retreat to have that spiritual experience. You went into labor and you had that experience. And so really honoring the fact that Sag can be every single aspect, every single area of life. Everything can be spiritual. Everything can be expansion. Everything can represent growth. Everything can represent this. Now we're going to get into Mercury. This further stepping into your destiny, your dharma, further stepping into your dharma. So let's talk Mercury as an archetypal energy. Mercury, messenger of the gods. So Mercury's delivering messages during a Mercury retrograde. He's delivering messages from spirit, your high self spirit, from your soul. He's on an underworld journey into your inner world to get you information that you've been missing. This is why they say all the words during a retrograde, right? Review, revisit, readjust. Do you get it? So he's going inward and he's gathering, hey, remember you were excited to study this thing? It's really a part of your destiny. You need to study that. So those things that we maybe missed on the first go around, it's time to do them. They're going to get loud. Sometimes in a Mercury retrograde, it's not that we miss them on the first go around. It's that Mercury just has the door wide open to be able to deliver messages from the soul, to be able to deliver messages from your deeper inner underworld, right? And this deeper inner underworld and Mercury in a retrograde, it's like what he's doing is putting you in alignment with your highest path forward, right? He's readjusting, another word, readjusting things to get you on your highest path forward. Now, we can give Mercury time and space. We can work with him to get the messages, right? Meditation is great. The mind, using the mind, reflecting, another word, right? Journaling, meditating on things. Powerful, giving the space for it in all these areas that I've been talking about. But you got to create the space. Where focus goes, energy flows. So it's like give your consciousness the opportunity to attune to Mercury to get the messages, right? And that's just whatever your practice is. If it's reflective journal prompting, right? Journaling, if it's meditating in certain ways, if it's shamanic underworld journeys, now is the time for that. Holding the intention that you're opening up to soul messages, that you're opening up, you can even say opening up to Mercury messages from the messenger of the gods. It's literally like, we always like have those like funny memes and stuff that are like, oh, this is what my spirit guide looks like every day, or like they're like burnt out smoking a cigarette, hair's all fucking fried, like my spirit guide just trying to fucking get me on track. That's Mercury retrograde right now. It's Mercury. It's literally Mercury. And he's literally able to talk to all of your spirit guides, however your framework is around that. Your angels, your guides, your guardians, whatever. He's the psychopomp, guide to the soul. He's able to grab all those messages from your angels, your guides, your guardians, your spirit animal. He's able to translate it. He's literally a conduit for it. He's bringing in the messages. He's bringing in the insights. If you've ever wanted to be able to speak to the unseen, you want to develop your Mercury. If you've ever wanted to translate the unseen or channel things, Mercury is your man for real. Some of you are working with Mercury in IX. Some of you are working through the 36 core archetypes in ReWilding Immersion Experience IX. Mercury is really powerful to go through right now. Some of you have them in your members area. Now's the time to redo them. During a Mercury retrograde, it's more powerful. The messages will be totally different. If you're curious about working with Mercury, if you're curious about opening up to that kind of sacred wisdom, that archetypal energy of Mercury, if you're curious or called to like develop that translator capacity to translate the unseen, to hear, right? To hear guidance in a different way, IX is open. I know we've only opened it twice ever. And we just opened it kind of for this beautiful, wonderful holiday period of time, the end of 2024 into 2025. There's a link below. You'll see holiday specials. One of them is IX. That's our deep diving. It's a mystery school. Really, it is a mystery school. It is the 36 core archetypes, like Mercury, like Saturn, who we're going to talk about, like Jupiter, who we're going to talk about, like those deep sacred feminine energies that I mentioned are also loud during this Mercury retrograde. So might be something worth checking out. There's like 5 other holiday offers too. I love specials. I love good deals. I love good deals. So these are our good deals for the holiday season, and you'll find a couple different ones below. I definitely encourage you to check out IX though, if you're interested in what I was just talking about with Mercury or any of these archetypes and really accessing, turning their wisdom on in you, turning on these dormant forces of 36 different sacred energies within yourself. To me, this is part of what leads to the new human, which is what I'm crazy powerfully excited about, and like diving in to all kinds of different scientific modalities and astrological modalities and just lots. It's wild. It's a wild madness, like mad scientist going on over here in my world around the new human. I'm crazy excited, and I will do an episode on that for us coming up before the end of the year. Which reminds me, if you're not in our newsletter, that's where we announce when there's new podcasts that comes out. That's where we announce when there's new specials or where there's fun free things, which we do quite often in ReWilding. So if you're not getting like our new moon and full moon updates, you're not on our newsletter. I'd love to be able to share that stuff with you. We'll put a link to sign up for the newsletter down below too. Okay, let's get back into this Mercury retrograde. Back to business, Sabrina. All right, so let's come back to, I think that's enough about Mercury. I will wrap up our little Mercury conversation just by saying that when Mercury is operating in a retrograde, his primary goal in everything that he's doing, whether he's acting out as trickster and he's messing up travel plans, or he's messing up communications, right? Or emails or electronic stuff, his primary goal is to get you in your greatest alignment with your highest path forward. That's his primary goal. That's everything that he's doing, right? So we can consciously work with that, give him the space for that, or we can wait for the trickster chaos to ensue, because he has a capacity to move things in the physical world in a way that he doesn't always have. It's like when he's retrograde, he's got access to move things in the physical, to move emails, to miscommunicate, to mess up emails, to mess up communications, to mess up travel, to mess things up. So And he'll do it. He's doing it to set you on a new course. Now you could set yourself on a new course by listening, right? Or we could just, I also want to say, we can go further and faster when we listen. It's not just like, I'm just going to wait for him to, readjust me. I'm just going to play like victim to fate. Instead, there's a very powerful way to co-create with. I'm going to co-create with Mercury. That's what you want to feel into and think about. I'm going to co-create with this messenger of the gods. I'm going to co-create with my soul. I'm not just going to wait for Mercury to mess up my travel plans and then I got to like freak out, waste a bunch of time, a bunch of energy trying to like, and then try to figure out what it is, but I'm in this like total chaotic place. You could completely, one, avoid all of that, and two, go exponentially further by co-creating with. That's going to be a really powerful theme for this Mercury retrograde and into 2025 and into this new human is you're co-creating with. You're co-creating with a much greater power. There's much more for you to tap into, much more vitality to tap into, much more aliveness to tap into. Isn't that great? Yeah. Do I X? If you're like, okay, what is this regenerating capacity that you're talking about? What is this tapping into more vitality? What is this tapping into divine mind? So I don't just have to rely on my little brain. Like, I want to tap into this big stuff. I X. At least feel into it if that sings to you. It might be your path into this opening up to dormant capacities within, this stepping into the new human and the possibilities that are on offer for us. And it might not be. So just total respect for your path forward. It's just a way. It's the ReWilding way. Okay, let's keep going now. I said that we were going to talk about why this is so karmic next. Why it's so karmic. Mercury will square Saturn 3 times. He already has once on, do I have this date down? It was once in earlier November. I want to say like November, maybe 12th, I think. It might be today, the day that I'm recording this. I don't know. But Mercury squares Saturn 3 times. Once in his pre-shadow phase, once in his retrograde phase, and then once in his post-shadow phase. Do you see that? Because it's like a 3-part series. He's going forward, then he goes backwards, then he goes forward. So 3 times he hits Saturn. What does this mean? Saturn brings things into reality. So there's a part about this that is a real gift. It's a real benefit because Saturn will make it manifest. He will say, we're not just going to talk about this, Sabrina. We're going to make it happen. We're going to bring it. And how often do we say, wow, I had this really great spiritual awakening, or I had this really big shift inside myself, but it hasn't translated into my life yet. It hasn't changed my relationship. It hasn't changed my body. It hasn't changed my health. It hasn't changed my career. I haven't seen the change. Saturn's going to make sure that happens. Doing our Saturn work is very powerful for any of us who we feel like it's not quite making it all the way into reality. It's not, the changes that we might feel inside might not be making it all the way through to the physical. It might not be showing up into our relationship yet, into our career yet, into our home yet. Saturn is the gatekeeper between the seen and the unseen, between the dream and the reality. It's Saturn. Doing your Saturn work. Again, maybe it's archetypal embodiment in IX. Maybe it's something else. But do your Saturn work. Figure out how to do your Saturn work. You really want to open up to the gifts of Saturn. And the gift of Saturn is reality. Grounds it in, makes it happen. In the physical, we're going to experience this, right? You've just experienced a heart awakening. We're going to experience that in your relationship. You just had this really great epiphany, right, about your work. We're going to make it happen in your work. We're going to change your daily work to look like that. That's Saturn. Isn't that great? It's great. So for this Mercury retrograde, 3 times he squares. Now, a square is tough. Saturn likes it tough. It's also part of Saturn is he just likes it tough. He's Mr. Miyagi. He's Gandalf. He's Yoda. He's like the wizened teacher, the wizened elder. And he's like, wax on, wax off, sunshine, till you got this straight. I am going to keep delivering because I want you to get to mastery and because I want you to make this a reality. I don't want you to just dream about it. I don't want you to just have the emotional shift or the spiritual shift or the energetic shift. I want you to have the physical shift. I want to bring that all the way into your body, and I want to bring that all the way into your daily reality, all the way in, so you get to fully live it. That's Saturn. That's great, right? Could be a little tough though. Could be a little tough. This could be tough. It could just, because we don't just get to be dreamy. Sag can be a bit dreamy. Sag can be just a bit ungrounded. It's a lot of fire. Sag is just, it's like big, expanded, grace, let's go. And Saturn's like, okay, yeah, and we're going to ground that in because I want you to live it. I don't want you to just think it. I want you to live it. This is powerful and it's beautiful. It's perfect to work with. So you can work with Saturn. You can feel into, how do I bring this into my life? How do I ground this in? If you're not sure how to do that, if you're a member in ReWilding, if you're in Bones, we did that November 1st. That was our November 1st workshop. We spent 2 hours working that line, that Saturn line, grounding it in. By the way, there's a special on Bones too. That's part of the holiday offer. I forgot about that. That's so good. IX is part of the holiday offer. So is Bones membership. You can get 4 months for free. 4 months for free. That's part of the holiday offer. I love that. You can check that out again below. Links are below, above, I don't know, all over the place. Okay. So that's Saturn, grounding it in, could also bring up deeper things. So because he's karma, it could also be a bit deeper. Speaking of deeper, Mercury also semi-squares Pluto during this retrograde. He does that the same day that he is at his midway point, which is on the 5th. So this is interesting dates to take note of. The 4th, the 5th, and the 6th of December. They're going to be interesting. It's like the hot spot for Mercury retrograde. It's the halfway point. So we start to see what the fuck this is all about. That's when we start to really understand what it's about. Typically is around the halfway point. We could be getting insights pre-shadow, right? As soon as he turns dark, we could be getting like little inklings, but by about the midway point, it's pretty clear. Like we're starting to build out the full picture of what Mercury's messages are for us this particular retrograde. So 5th, 6th, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Now here's the interesting part. I'm going to skip over to, remember, like our next point was this big grace bomb. There's a big, huge grace bomb during this Mercury retrograde. It's because he's opposing Jupiter. So he opposes Jupiter on the 4th. He's in Cazimi. This is when he's conjunct the sun. This is the halfway point. So Mercury's conjunct the sun. That's the conscious self. It's also part of why we get such mad insights around that day, because it's the sun is the conscious self. Mercury is there, has just opposed Jupiter, is there, semi-squares Pluto that same day. That's depth. That's the unconscious. What does that mean? Mercury's messenger of the gods can be bringing messages from Hades. Hades, Lord of the Underworld. Hades, power, money, the hidden, the things you don't want to see, the shadow. So it can be bringing messages from the deeper depths. This is good. This makes this much more well-rounded. So that's on the 5th. Then on the 6th, square Saturn, which we just talked about, karma on the 6th. So 4th, 5th, 6th, mark those on your calendars, meditate all 3 of those days. Right? You were just like, I am on my journey. I'm doing IX workshops. I'm doing Bones workshop to bring this into reality. I'm going for it. It's a really powerful time to, if you can, I know it's holiday season. I'm not oblivious to that. I know it's a holiday season, but if at all you can do some big, deep inner work, the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th, do it. If you've got your own ways of doing that, amazing. If you want some ways to do it, check out the holiday offers. There's a couple of them. Everything's on special. It's good, right? All right. So let's talk a little bit more about this big grace bomb. This is Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet most associated with the sign of Sagittarius. So for Jupiter to be opposing Mercury, it gives it another blast of expansion. This is that breakthrough energy. So this to me is really adding breakthrough. It's really adding breakthrough. And I love that it's adding breakthrough just before the Saturn piece, right? So it's Jupiter first opposes Mercury. Mercury goes to the sun, right? So it's like a breakthrough day on the 4th. Breakthrough, expansion, just go for it, right? You are breaking out of boxes. You are breaking upper limits. You are shattering glass ceilings. You're going for it. And remember, this is in the energetics of growth, your growth of expansion. And a Mercury retrograde is your highest path forward. So your highest path forward. Blow up the box. So that's Jupiter. Love that. Love that. Love that addition. Here's a little bit of a red flag, could really blow you out of the box, right? Could be overzealous. This is the only little, thing to watch out for. Could be over expansive, overzealous, over the top. So just watch out for that. But I'm not too concerned about that because the next day you're conjunct the sun, the Cazimi, and then the day after that you're square Saturn. So Saturn, it's going to be like expansion, and then it's going to be like, and reality now, sunshine, right? Big dreams, and we're going to make a manifest is what Saturn's going to say. He's also going to help to discern and decipher like what was just like a little too far out there, what really doesn't serve, because there's going to be stuff potentially where you just go so far out there. And then Saturn's going to be good at that distilling down, like, because he's karma, dharma. He's like, nah, that's not for you. This is for you. This is for you. And when you're feeling into this sorting out process, it's like, this is that path to know thyself, right? Every mystical tradition, that's like their biggest thing is know thyself, know thyself, know thyself. And so when sorting out, know what does it feel like in yourself when it's true for you? What does it feel like in yourself, when you're in this sorting out process and you're getting insights and inspirations and things you want to study and ways that you want to grow and spiritual callings and, paths forward and communities to align with and programs to do, right? Because that's Sag. It's learning, it's expanding, it's growing. And typically we've got to go somewhere to do that. We've got to start something new. We've got to try something. We got to study something. We got to bring something in. We need to take in transmissions or activations or get around new groups or get outside, break outside of the box. And then when it comes to that distilling process and that know thyself piece, it's knowing. You know it. You know what you know when it's for you. You know when it's I was just reflecting on this yesterday, and it was like, I know now when it's a must do or it's a could do. I can feel that. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. When it's like this is a non-negotiable. This is a non-negotiable for my path. I will study the new human. I will keep walking that path. I will keep bringing that into ReWilding. I will keep switching on these dormant capacities within human beings because that's just what I'm fucking here for. That's a non-negotiable for me. That's a non-negotiable for me. I'm getting to watch it, right? I'm getting to watch it with all of these new archetypal activations. By the way, if you've done any of the archetypal work with me in the past, it's all old. This is all new. These IX, they are all new. They are all new and they're only in IX. There are none of these archetypal activations in any of the ReWilding for Women retreats, any of the Sabrina, Lynn stuff, any of our past mystery schools, nothing. Everything is completely new activations focused around this new human. All right, I digress. Let's go into we talked about that. Then I think the last part that I want to talk about was the feminine supporting. Feminine is in deep support to this Mercury retrograde. I find that interesting. This is one of the things that really stood out to me. So here's who's loudly in support. Venus, Lilith, Vesta. Did I write down anybody else? Hekate. Isn't that interesting? That's interesting to me. So it's all trines and sextiles. And I'm not going to go through specific dates or anything like that. It's all trines and sextiles. Trines and sextiles, they are positive aspects, right? It's a supportive aspect. It's like a supportive role. And it's literally like the feminine in different faces. Hekate is medicine woman, Lilith, dark goddess, Venus, lover goddess, Vesta, festal virgin, she's priestess energy. So it's variety of flavors of the feminine, all basically pouring their Shakti, right? The feminine. If you've ever seen Chinnamasta, one of my favorite archetypal energies, Chinnamasta's literally got her head off. She's removed her head herself, and she's literally pouring her elixir of life, her blood, her elixir of life into the mouths of her devotees, right? And that's what I'm seeing here, is literally like a Chinnamasta setup where the goddess, the deep sacred feminine, is literally removing her head, and she's pouring her elixir of life. She's pouring her elixir of life into you for your Mercury retrograde, into you for your Dharma, into you for these insights that you're getting, these pivots, this review, revise, revisit, renewal, right? Readjust. What are the pivots to be made so that you come into deeper alignment with your highest path forward? This is a stunning Mercury retrograde. Absolutely stunning. We will work with this energy in bones. We already are working with this energy in bones. IX, we are working with these archetypes that I just talked about. There's a couple of other bonuses in the holiday body wisdom activation. There's, what else is in? Oh, I love this one. Almost forgot about this one. Rewilding your relationships. Rewilding your relationships. Venus is one of those goddess energies that's in the mix with Mercury retrograde. She's in one of those supportive aspects. So this could be positive for relationships. Could also be a little bit of review, revise, revisit, readjust relationships. And we all know that the holidays can sometimes, they can sometimes be interesting in our relationships. Rewilding your relationships is about all relationships. It's not just primary relationship or intimate relationship. It's mother relationship, sister relationship, brother relationship, intimate relationship. It's all relationships. So if that's something, that's also part of the holiday special. All right. Yada, 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 yada. It is amazing to be here with you. If you want another episode to go watch, I would check out the year-end Astrology 2024. That talks about all the big themes, touches into Mercury retrograde, just not as deep as this. All right. Massive love to you. Have a beautiful Mercury retrograde, and I'll see you where I see you, when I see you, and how I see you. Big love to you.